Welcome to Gifted and Guided. I'm your host, Naila. Around here, we're all just figuring it out. Slightly confused, walking imperfectly towards purpose, but doing it with grace. My hope is that you take something from this episode and remember, you are doing your best. But the key word is doing. Keep showing up for yourself and don't overthink it. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, because your voice matters here too. All right, let's jump in. It all started with a canceled tour and a quiet nudge from God. I cannot wait to hear more about this. We are here today with Selena Watkins, a movement artist, motivational voice, and the founder of Socanomics, a globally celebrated wellness brand rooted in Caribbean culture. My fellow Caribbean sister. And she went from performing with Beyonce and Shakira to guiding thousands through spiritual wellness and winding their waist. And Selena, we are so excited to have you. But before we get into the canceled tour and a quiet nudge from God, please take us back. Take us back to where you were emotionally, spiritually, and mentally prior to that shift happening.
Wow. It was about 2019 right before the pandemic happened, when I had booked my first world tour, and everything I had been working for as a dancer pretty much led up to this, right? I spent about 25 years training as a professional dancer, starting at about age 5.
Wow.
I mean, you name it. Everything I had been, it was my life's purpose to be a mover.
How did you know?
You know, it's the stories that my mother tells me when I was about 5. Like, we were taking your sister to ballet and you were coming to, but you were in the window watching, and the teacher after a while was like, do you want to just put the girl in the class too? Because she's doing all the moves. And you had to be 8 years old to join the dance school, but they were like, okay, this 4-year-old girl, I feel like we should make the exception for the rule. And so it literally became the baseline for childhood, adolescence, age 4 to 18, and then even majoring in dance and journalism when I got to college. And so I was always doing journalism, media, pursuing entrepreneurship in ways that I didn't know I already was. You know, I started a media business. I started a CPG business. You do the things when you work in media. And it was around 2019. After booking many jobs in New York, I moved to Los Angeles. And So you know what? Let me backtrack a little bit. So I'm from New York, and in New York, there's a beautiful pool of opportunities. But I think everyone knows that, like, you want to move into the big pond, and LA is the big pond. And so I had been a Brooklyn Nets dancer. I danced for the NBA for a few years. I'd done a few movies. I'd done lots of music videos, and that's what I did, as well as having a full-time career as a fitness instructor. And so I worked at SoulCycle for many years. I worked, you name it, every certification you can imagine. I was like getting it into my arsenal, getting it into like my toolkit of like, this is who I am as an instructor in the fitness and wellness world, even before wellness was a buzzword. You know what I'm saying? It was fitness before we understood it as wellness.
Right.
And so I moved to LA, and that decision even was a nudge from God. God just said, I think it's time. I think it's time for you to go. You're not necessarily because I wasn't going for a particular thing. I wasn't going for a particular job. I just knew it was time to go. I knew it was time to move. I felt it in my spirit. I was like, okay, I'm ready for that weather. I'm ready for...
Oh, yeah. At what point, what time of year did you move?
Oh, girl. It was January 3rd, 2019 that I moved.
It was the winter. That makes sense.
The day after I moved was a storm called a bomb cyclone that shut down airports for several days. The day after, maybe the night that I moved, it hit. And so it was just like, oh, this is divine. This is divine, because I just knew I had to go. And it didn't come without the struggles of like, okay, the sublet that I thought I was going to move into, actually, they can't sublet. And I might be homeless if I don't have a place in 2 weeks. Okay, at least I have a vehicle that made it from the East Coast on time. And I tapped into my community right away. I started going to service right away just to like build a foundation for like, okay, where's my faith in this moment? Where's my footing in this moment? Because I really stepped out. I really stepped out and took the leap. That was 2018. Sorry, I said January 3rd, 2018. It was 2018 that I moved. And so that year I booked in 2 months a dance job with a major artist, and I ended up dancing with her for over a year, every award show, every music video, and started touring with her. And so that became like, oh wow, everything that I've been working for is streamlined. Okay, it's going. And we went on an Australian tour with her, where I met my now life partner.
And oh my gosh! Wait. Okay. Yeah. So you're going on tour. You go across the pond. And you meet your how did that come about?
So we had done a show in Brazil, followed by a show in Spain. And then we were getting ready for a string of shows in Australia. And we knew that we were getting a new videographer to join the team. And so we met him at a couple shows in Australia, but I didn't get to spend time with him. And so when we got to Auckland, New Zealand, we had a day off. We had about 2 days off, and we had a chance to connect and speak. And again, that same nudge from God, that same spark I felt at the time, I didn't know what it was, but I felt that spark like, hey, I got immediately shy, went from like, hey, you the new dude, what's up? To like, oh wow, I feel a little shy. And we went to a beautiful house nearby. Let me tell you, there's an island called Waiheke, not to be confused with Waikiki. It's Waiheke Island off the coast of Auckland, New Zealand. And a dancer friend, her best friend's grandmother lives on the island. I mean, a little string of events. Let's go to grandma's house. And we spent the afternoon there just kicking it on this remote island. And all of us, the dancers, the DJ, the crew, and the new videographer, his name is Mike. And I think that was just the seed for our friendship throughout the rest of the tour, throughout the next few months on Australia tour. And then the pivot happened. And the artist decided, you know what, I'm not going on the North American leg of the tour. I'm kind of going to retire, is what she announced to the world. I'm retiring. And that was like, oh, I had the next 6 months of my life planned out financially, my schedule, everything was planned, right? And
that's
so
a big shift.
It's a big shift.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift. And my saving grace was that I was always thinking, I was kind of planning ahead. Not that I had a different plan A or plan B. It was like, okay, while I'm on this tour, I'm recording audio workouts for the fitness app that I work for. So I already had other streams of income. And I was like, okay, let's continue working in fitness. I've been doing this for 10 years already. Now it's not an in-person environment, and it hadn't turned into virtual quite yet. But these audio apps were existing for runners and for people who just wanted to put on headphones and be guided by an instructor.
Wow.
So I was already doing that. And so that was my baseline income. So as soon as the tour stopped, it was like, okay, I have this, but what else? Is it time to truly tap into more? And so I gave more life to Socanomics at that moment. And
wait, before we get into that, Socanomics, when did that come about and how? Because I don't think you spoke about that yet, right?
No. So Socanomics started in 2013. I was working in radio.
Okay.
I was working in radio at Hot 97 and Kiss FM.
I worked there too. So
wait, what if that's how we know each other? Because you do look familiar as hell. Okay, wait a minute.
Wait, what years were you there?
My internship.
Well, you said Kiss. I was there. Oh, okay. I was there at when they called Kiss WBLS.
They changed it.
Yeah,
I was at Hot. 2009 was my internship at Hot 97.
Oh no. That was, way before me.
Wait, right.
That's so funny. Okay.
And I stayed.
Reroute.
After the internship, they're like, find a way to keep your key card. Like, don't exit this building. Find a way to get a job. If it's the street team, if it's the sales team, it don't matter. Stay in the building. And so luckily, I was already on the studio side where I was like, all right, there seems to be no space for me Here at Hot 97, there's a full team there, interns who haven't left that are now assistants. So it's like, okay, where can I squeeze my way in? Like, I'm even trying to like be with the DJs, like living this team no sleep kind of life. And although I'm like, I have no intention to be a DJ, but I'm learning a lot about branding. I'm learning a lot about work ethic. I'm learning a lot about even where soca lands in the music space, right? So I'm like, okay, I know that when I expand Socanomics, it is events too. It is all of this. And so my DJ friends started to say, make sure you do your LLC. Make sure to do your trademark. Do it now. Do it now. This was 2013, you know? Wow. And I'm like, okay. Started teaching the Socanomics class in alignment with working at the radio station. And so it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. It was intentional. And yeah, it was like, I'll tell you more about how I started it. I was teaching so many different classes all over New York as a fitness instructor. And so they'd always say, you can create your own workout, right? You can create your own class and teach it here. And so everything I did would always go back to Afro-Caribbean dance or some type of, you know, I would call it something Afro-Caribbean in that sense. And one day I decided it needs a name. And I'm downloading names. What is it? It's coming to me.
This is before AI.
It's before AI.
You could go on Chat GPT and say, hey.
I couldn't ask Chat. Chat didn't know. Chat didn't exist. Oh. And yeah, I came up with Socanomics and it hit. It hit and it stuck. And I just continued to teach it as a class in New York. Just a class. And so when I moved to LA and was focusing on dance, Socanomics was something I did on the side. Like, here's what I teach when I'm not teaching cycling, when I'm not teaching strength, when I'm not teaching yoga and all the other things. I'm still teaching my dance class because that's home to me. This is home to my culture. This is home to my spirit. And I was teaching it, you know, Glendale, Playa del Rey, WeHo, you name it. I was all over the city. So at this point, the amount of burnout that I was feeling as a professional dancer, as a fitness instructor, and now as an early founder, I was just starting to feel a lot of burnout, more energy out than income in. And so 2019, when the tour is canceled, it's like, okay, I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start recording these virtual programs. And I called Mike and I said, Mike, I'd love to partner with you on this. I'd love for you to direct some of these projects. And we just figure out what we're going to do with it. And that led to us spending a summer together in the editing room, but obviously hanging out more and building a better friendship and even falling in love by the end of that summer. And that really has been the foundation for even the love and the life of Socanomics. Our love has been the nucleus for how it's continued to grow. And so that pivot in my mind, it's the reason why I was able to survive when the pandemic happened 6 months later. So 6 months later, the pandemic happened. I had just moved home from Miami. I was living in Miami for a month to do the Super Bowl with Shakira and J-Lo. And that was an even bigger job. It was like, okay, this is now probably the biggest thing I've done as a dancer. And
you think? I mean, going on tour.
it's
all
a
pretty big thing.
I know. Right? and we often don't even scale what's bigger than the other, because everything we're like, the next job is the biggest thing. It's like the next job, having one is okay, thank you, God.
Right.
So that happens in January. I'm in Miami, living my life in Miami. February happens, I move home. I get super sick. And this is when Mike sits me down and says, you know what? Your output, like, you're going to the city. He draws a map for me. He draws a map. You're going from Encino. For anyone who lives in LA, you know, you're going from Encino to Westlake, back to Encino, to Playa del Rey, Manhattan Beach, to this place. So how much are you making to do that? How much energy is spent to earn that amount of money? So I'm thinking about trading my time for money in a different way. I'm thinking about my energy in a different way. And it was like, this is not sustainable. On top of not only being on someone else's time, but being on their dollar and their time, you know, their decision making, right? And so when the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, March is here. The first thing I'm going to do, here's what I know how to do. I know how to teach on camera. I know how to engage audiences, live stream. And the reason why it was so seamless, I'm so grateful, is because of two things. In 2016, I applied for a competition called Women's Health Magazine's Next Fitness Star. And I went on to be in the top 5. And they asked the top 5 finalists to start showing us your programs, show us your workouts. So I started introducing Socanomics to the world, right? Introducing Socanomics to Women's Health Magazine, to their audiences. And then when I won at the end of 2016, I got to shoot my first fitness DVD. And so it was just okay, I really know how to teach on camera for audiences that are not right in front of me. And so
first off, to say fitness DVD.
Right. DVD
that
still
is
existed.
A throwback, okay? Because it's equivalent to like a YouTube series for those that don't know DVD life, where you're creating content and you can't necessarily see the people who you're speaking to. You have to kind of just find the energy within yourself to create this like momentum for the person on the other side of the screen to be like, yeah, she sees me, or yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it has to come from within, and you have to be present enough to assume how they're feeling in that moment. It's really
right.
I wouldn't even call it acting. It's just being present enough to know what that person is feeling. And so I was like, okay, boom, I know exactly what to do. And Mike knew AV systems. He knew how to get everything set up because that's what he had been doing with Free Life Enterprises, which is his media empire. So I'm like, okay, let's rock it out. Let's do it. So we start teaching on live. Everyone's on the same time zone. Everyone's on the time schedule that we're like, okay, this is great. This is great. We're moving through the pandemic. Now we're building a brand. Now we're building an audience. Now we're building a community. Whoa. How do we sustain the fire, not just start the fire, right? And so Mike decides, okay, why don't I go to school and get my executive MBA? Boom. He applies to Penn State, gets his executive MBA. At the end of 2 years, he's done, and we're building this brand and business together. The challenge for me was, it's like the fog of the pandemic's ending. Everyone's going back to their old life. Everyone's going back to normal. Professional dancers are going back to the jobs, right? Auditions are happening again. Many dancers never stopped dancing, right? There were just different parameters, masks on, or, direct booking versus auditioning. But now we're back in it for real. Fitness instructors are going back to full schedules at fitness boutiques, full schedules at, larger gyms. And here I am now thinking, do I stay on the new path, or do I go back to what I know? Do I go back to what I know? And the nudge from God kept telling me, you deserve to want even more. It's not that you're stopping, right? There's the grief made it feel like, okay, I don't do this anymore. I moved on. I don't. But it's like, no. It's always going to be a part of you. That's who you are. That's the seed. But you deserve to want more. You deserve to strive for something new. And that was hard to grapple with now that I have a business. Like I had a business to run. I had a community to serve. And I just found so much joy in doing it, but it didn't come without the grief of looking at old life, new life, old life, new life consistently.
And also considering the fact that when you started, this was a side hustle. This was not your main focus. So the life that you were living did not align with where you were at that point in life, right? So of course it's like there's this hesitancy of, do I move forward in this thing that I don't know, like as far as it becoming a lifestyle for me, or do I go back to it being a side hustle? Now that there's momentum, the side hustle aspect might change a little bit, but then I can go on tour with somebody else. Of course that it's scary because it was new despite it always being there, You know
what made it even more scary is that in reality it was new, but it didn't feel unfamiliar. It felt like I was just coming home to what I've always wanted to do. It's like, Selena, you've always been doing entrepreneurship. You've always been doing branding. Yeah. Everything I did with Women's Health Magazine, everything that I did, building the Fit Life with Selena Bailey on YouTube, my first YouTube channel, CPG products. I came out with waist beads and I'm going to sell waist beads. Like, you continuously have been aiming to be an entrepreneur. And wellness has always been your platform. It's always been the platform. And so during that season, I think what completely grounded me in this knowing, I aimed to separate ego as much as I can. And so.
And that's hard, especially in the space of entertainment. Yeah.
The hard part was tapping back into ego. So Queen Afua has a rites of passage program called the Sacred Woman. And so I entered the Sacred Woman program, and that is a complete healing journey. It's a complete physical, mental, emotional, spiritual healing journey that truly helps you to tap into who you are, how to connect to source, and to ground into what your life's purpose is. So I started that, and then I became a yoga instructor. This was 2021, so still deep in the pandemic. Wow. So deep during the pandemic is like where all of the healing happened, where all of the shifts were happening. Became a yoga instructor. That 200-hour program strips you of ego and makes you really humble and grounded. Like, you know what? Life is really just about right here and right now. All life is about love. And becoming that version of myself, it was harder to think about how much, I saw a Miley Cyrus interview recently, and she was like, I don't think you understand how much ego I have to tap into to be on tour every night, to receive that much energy and watchers where I'm the person you're watching and you are receiving me. I have to tap into that much ego. And she was like, it's hard to strip myself from that. And that resonated because it's like, yeah, you got to tap into a certain amount of ego to be the performing, most lit version of yourself. The transition for me becoming the most monk-like, humble version of me to then remember both of these people are you, and ego is needed to step into a room and lead people, not from a narcissistic place, but from a place where you are grounded and humble and know that in this moment, I'm here to guide you for the next 60 minutes, right? You can't be shy. You can't be too humble. You have to go in there and really stand on business. And so the transition out of the pandemic was such an interesting one for all those reasons.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here from the beginning. But before I share my thoughts, I want to know for you, what would you say are some of the gifts for like within that journey, considering where you are right now?
Ooh, the biggest gift that I received is that I've learned that I'm a wealth creator. Like I truly know that. I receive that. I know that because I've been able to build businesses. I've been able to build brands. I can build community. I generate. It's like money's just energy. It's just energy. Yeah. And so when we're really tapped into the holistic version of ourselves, we can create everything. Like we create communities, we create podcasts, we're creators online. You create life, right? And you can generate income. You can create a very wealthy life for yourself. And I've learned that through really diving deeply into what it means to create for myself, not on someone else's time, not for someone else's project, which you should learn how to do. Every person should do that. Build the foundation for yourself so you know what it is to be on every person, the producer, the assistant, right? The performer, the lighting design. You need to know how to be every single person in the room so that when you're ready.
For the sake of yourself. Yep.
For the sake of when it's time to pour into yourself, you know what type of work ethic you need. You can wear every hat and you know how to delegate when the time comes. Yeah. And yeah, I just learned that, wow, I generate wealth. I generate wealth. And this journey has really, truly been about not deciding between, am I a performer or am I an entrepreneur? It's knowing that you are all of these things. Yeah. Yeah. That's really been the gift.
Okay. I wish I had my notepad here because I'm gonna try and remember all the things that you said.
I know. I kind of jumped too, right?
No, I think that's a part of telling a story, right? It's like there are so many pieces to that puzzle. And I'm going to start off with what you just said about how you can be all things. As someone who has recently navigated that specific thing of what am I? How can I utilize my skills in this lane, that lane, and trying to confine myself to fit the social norm of what exists versus understanding our journeys are set out for us to stand out. And when we understand that, we can utilize what we know in different spaces and not try to put a title or an algorithm on it to make it credible, because how we show up is enough and what we do is enough, right? But outside of that, adding on to the idea that you have to learn how to show up for yourself when it's time. Because to your point of being able to do for others and learning the different roles that go into creating a brand, it's easy to get stuck in that lane of always producing for other people and not yourself. It takes a ton of courage to step out and bet on yourself and say, I am enough to still show up as the talent, as someone that has been behind the scenes performing behind the singer or whoever, right? You've always been like not backstage, but you know what I mean? Like you have your moment to shine, but they are the talent. Everyone moves according to their schedule, vision, whatever. But when it comes down to you, and showing up for yourself in that way, treating yourself as that. It's hard for a lot of people to see themselves in that light and to think that they can too be in the spotlight, not necessarily to that capacity, but showing up in their purpose and doing that thing where you don't have to always be behind the scenes to fulfill your purpose. Sometimes you have to be in front of the camera.
And vice versa. You know, you don't always have to be in front of the camera to fulfill your purpose. You can
be behind the scenes.
You can be behind the scenes. And the three things that really helped me to understand that, being in front of the camera and being not behind an artist, I always tell, you know, young women, like, doing pageants is a wonderful thing. Like, it helps you to build self-esteem. Truly, you know, I've around in my 20s, I started to do pageants. And in that process, during the time that you're building your brand, who are you? Who are you other than Miss New York? And the pageant that I did was Miss Black New York and Miss Black USA. Who are you? What are you standing on? What is your platform? So that when you win and you do events and motivational speaking, what are you speaking on? And I chose wellness in the Black community, right? But you're focused on the question and answer portion. What do you think about these things that are bigger than you, right? When you get onto a mic, how do you speak? How do you articulate, right? When you step onto stage and you walk into a room, it's everything. It may look like it's superficial, but it translates to interviews. It translates to me as a founder when I'm pitching VCs. Right? And I'm standing on business, speaking well. Being a highly energetic person, because they fall in love with you and they invest in you, not just the business. So that translated into Women's Health Magazine and winning that and winning Miss Black USA. Like, winning Miss Black USA became the foundation for everything else that I started to do throughout my 20s, to the point where the accelerator program I did for Socanomics in 2023, I finally understood how to communicate who I am, what I believe and what I love, into this brand and this product. And then what you were saying, thinking about, okay, you don't have to just be behind the camera. You don't have just to be in front of the camera. How do you delegate? Do you even know how to run a business, a startup? And I believe an accelerator program is so necessary for so many creatives, for so many entrepreneurs, because you learn problem solution. You learn customer discovery. You learn market trends. You learn your unique differentiation. You know how to speak your elevator pitch when people ask you down the road, right? Who are you? What's your business? You know how to speak about your business. You know how to do the analytics on your business, the finances on your business. And if you're a creator on the internet, you're running a business. If you're doing a podcast, you're running a business. If you are, what is it called? UGC, a UGC creator. You are running a business. It's just a brand around yourself. And so that's what I teach people now. Now that I've done it, I relay the information for women who look like us, for people in our community. It's about teaching it back now. Like, okay, you have the seed. Now it's about, how do you grow the seed, grow the garden into something that's sustainable.
And to that point, a part of the story is highlighting partnership. And when you met Mike, it's funny how things work, right? I mean, all things work together, but your story clearly had, like, it's a symbolic representation of that saying, because the timing of meeting him prior to the tour ending, like being canceled, to the world shutting down, to have that relationship set, not knowing what was to come, and then to find out that he would be the water to help that seed grow, to help you get grounded at a time where you were going based off of what you knew from working in entertainment and seeing hustle culture to working on tour and going nonstop, to then trying to translate that into this space where you're navigating that side hustle becoming a full-time hustle and realizing this is too much. But he was there to get you grounded, to help you expand. And it says a lot about how people show up on our lives at the perfect time. And I mean, that's on the business side, and then you have the personal side and the relationship. That's so amazing to see.
I don't know that we get to see the value of partnership when you're single. Like you see examples of it in people who may not be doing it in a way that resonates with you. And, it's about who do you listen to, right? Who do you listen to? Who's living a life similar to what you envision for yourself? And what him and I both envisioned for ourselves were we can create together, of course, create children together, but create a life together, enjoying some of the same things, having businesses together, and then me supporting his businesses, him supporting my businesses that are separate from him, and continuously feeding this life. Like we're here to create. Like I really have started to understand that, and we've been able to do that together, nonstop, together and separately, watching each other from afar. Like, you're really dope. Like you're really, being able to see each other like, wow, you are dope as hell. Like I usually work side by side with you, but when I get to just watch you in your element, you are dope, and the world needs to see you at the highest level.
And that's important.
It's amazing to see. It's important to have. It's been amazing. It's been the best part of my life to have him by my side. It's like, I don't know.
Though.
I don't really know. I know who I am. I know my work ethic. I know what I'm capable of and what I've done. Still don't know what my life would be if he wasn't in it. You know what I mean? And I know that every person who has a partner can say that, like, wow.
But it's a testament.
It's a testament. It's like, that's what it means to be equally yoked.
Yep.
It's truly what it means.
And when someone comes in your life, like, everyone plays a role, and when it's in alignment, it's only going to help you elevate. And that's so true for this.
And you do the same for them.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yep. It's a two-way street. And that's what alignment looks like in a relationship of any sort, romantic or professional. But I also want to add, although you did the 200 hours and you realigned in every lane, I feel like, and I asked you when you were telling that part of the story, what year, because I thought it was prior to all of this. Because I feel like throughout your journey, you've always been grounded. You've constantly mentioned that you've received this nudge. And do you know how many people receive a nudge, but they overlook it? Like they don't trust their intuition, or... And especially when, like, you don't know what's next, it's so easy to get stuck in the fear of, I don't really know about that, so I'm going to stay over here. And you didn't. Every time you showed up. And the fact that the airport had all that going on when you were moving to Los Angeles, I mean, there's just so much to say about being grounded and knowing who you are, and just trusting that despite not having the training, because I don't know, there's just so much around it. And I think that you've naturally had that sense of intuition and trust within yourself.
Right.
And it might be because you had a chance to change the game at 4 years old.
Right.
And to, like, you changed the rules, right?
Bro,
you had to be eight in order to be a part of this program. And then they were like, you know what? We want you to join because we see that you're inclined to do something over here. And then they said, actually, we're going to open it up to everyone else.
You just said everything I needed to hear to remember that truth. That is the fact. And, you know, we can attribute it to a lot of things. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay.
I was raised by a strong Caribbean mother. I'm a first generation American. So wheedling the line of being raised by an immigrant family in an American school. So you're Antiguan, but you're American. You know, I always felt like I had something to prove. I'm the dark-skinned girl in the room. You know, I always felt like, okay, let me prove to you, you can't put me in a box or make me feel like I'm less than. I'm going to prove to you my worth. I always felt like an underdog. But, you know, rewriting the rules as a 4-year-old knowing like, oh, that I'm the youngest one in this school. But that became almost a through line. You found it. Yeah. You found it. Even I remember in 8th grade, I was a high honor roll student. And I don't know what I was doing that semester in math, but I didn't get on the National Honor Society. I think you needed to have 0.5 points higher. And I was like 89.5 and it was supposed to be 90. Let me tell you, I remember talking to all of the teachers, my parents, the principal. Y'all know me. I'm supposed to be on here. I'm supposed to be on the National Honor Society. And they're like, Selena, 89.5 is... you just didn't get on. And I was like, that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You know who I am. You know my work ethic. That was a matter of circumstance. I don't know what that was, but let's rewrite the rules. Let's rewrite the rules. And they changed the rules. They changed the rules and they lowered the requirement, which doesn't sound worthy, but they lowered it so that I was the exception. And sometimes you just want to feel good about being the exception in a world that continues to try to separate you like you don't belong. When instead it's actually, you know what? We're going to find a way to make sure you do belong because you are worth it and you're going to show your worth once we let you in. Let you in. And
right. But because there are a lot of gatekeepers out there.
There's a lot of gatekeepers. And when you have people on your side who know what you're capable of, you know, and my only other example of that is when I moved to LA. You know, my friend had been here a few years and when I auditioned for that artist, I'll tell you, girl, I auditioned and I got cut. And I was like, that wasn't supposed to be. I know what it's supposed to be. That job was for me. And I didn't leave for like an hour. I sat in the parking lot like, God, that's crazy. That's crazy because I know this was for me.
Sometimes we have those conversations.
Like that was crazy.
Hold up. I thought we were on the same page about
I thought we knew. And I called my homegirl and I told her I got cut. That's crazy. And she was like, Selena, I know you book everything, you know, but you just moved here 2 months ago. Like it's going to be like a year. And I was like, nah, I don't follow those rules. I make my own rules. Like, it's just not going to be. On the phone with her, I get a phone call. Hello, is this Selena Watkins? The artist wants you to come back. Are you in the area? I've whipped that car around so fast, went into the room and booked that job. That job ended up being that tour, ended up being where I met my life partner, it ended up being everything that was my foundation when I moved to LA. Like, I just knew, but I had to know that I could rewrite those rules. Like, oh, it just wasn't for me. Just another audition. No, that was for me. I don't care how long it takes other people. This one was for me.
Your journey is yours.
Your journey is yours. Yeah, that nudge from God was sincere. Thank you for saying that.
Wow. Talk about not accepting a no, right? And that's in a spiritual sense in this scenario because you didn't necessarily stay in the parking lot and then go back in and be like, hold up, wait a second. You guys cut me for, like, you didn't do any of that. You sat with yourself and you just had to really think about and process the situation at hand and the disappointment attached to it. And then you accepted it, you leave, you get the call. There's so much, I don't know, like something about realizing that you can't count yourself out just because of the first no.
Right.
And even though you didn't know that call was coming, you still had this knowing, your intuition again, of, but I'm supposed to be a part of this. And you were. And and then for that to be connected to the next step of touring the world, first off. I mean, that sounds so fun. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
tiring. But then to also meet your partner in time for the pandemic.
Right. You know what? I think that the nudge is supported by there's a framework that's it's called the confidence continuum. And the first thing that's required is the courage, right? You have to have the courage to do the thing, the courage to push anyway when you feel like, to be persistent, right? To be tenacious when you're told no, to try, get up and try again. Like the courage is first. And then once you have the courage to do it, you're starting to take action. You're starting to build the skill, the unique skill set. But the one thing that's most necessary is feedback. To get the feedback, yes, you are great. Yes, you are deserving. Yes, that project is good. Yes, yes, your bio looks good. Yes, your essay looks good. You need the feedback, right? From a non-biased source so that you're like, okay, cool. How do I revise? How do I get better? So that you can then get to a place without ego, without arrogance. You become a master at what you do, and then you can become confident. But most people reach, their skill set becomes higher than their self-esteem. So then there's insecurity where you're actually the one who needs to be in the room. You need to be in the room. You're amazing at what you do, but you at that, and I've been through this many times where my emotions about it didn't match my skill level. Where it's just like, Selena, do you know who you are? Do you know what you've done? If you're not there and grounded in that moment, your skill set succeeds your mindset at that particular time. So it's the continuum of building yourself up. And so having the foundation of my Sacred Woman tools and then finally going to get my yoga certification. Like I was always a student for 17 years as a yoga student, but to finally have the tools, my mindset training, everything that I do in my home, how I wake up, how I journal, it all pours into how I ground myself so I can step out into the world and then go for the next thing. Go for the next goal. Trust myself. Listen to God from a clear-headed space.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's all holistic.
Yeah, it is. It is. But you've always been connected. It's so clear. Your journey, it's a clear representation. I know I said that earlier, but it's true. It's like
Thanks.
It takes a lot to step into the unknown and to see how many people you've been able to impact and connect, especially during a time where people are at home, bored, eating, trying every new recipe, and you're giving them a reason to move their body. And listen, Soca, my mom is from Trinidad, father's from Jamaica, so I call myself a Trini-Macon. And there's just something about Soca where you don't need coffee. Like, just listen to Soca and you can go run, Stairmaster, go for a long walk, whatever it is, because it just gives you the sense of freedom. It uplifts your energy. Some of the, and with the lyrics, it's also like it supports your mindset. And it's like they can talk about me if they want. I'm gonna still live my life, or tell my boss I'm not coming in today. I'm gonna be on the road. So you have a mix of things. We love to tell stories in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Then you also have your retreat, and it's like to show that you're expanding globally. Who would have thought that all of this will come out of a canceled tour? Something where someone would be like, oh no, what am I gonna do? You turned it into something for yourself, because it was your time to shine, your time to step into, purpose is like a long game. It's not just one moment, but to step into it even further and impact more people because of what you've learned and what you've experienced already, and utilize that in a space during a time where we need you. Like, it's amazing to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's been a beautiful road. There's a quote that I just read the other day. I was doing tarot. Somebody gifted me a tarot set, and I was like, I'll get into doing tarot on my own when it aligns. I'm not gonna like search for the deck, but someone gifted it to me, and I had no clue who it was. So I was shuffling the cards, and one of them that came up, it spoke about resilience, and it said, a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. So there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be hard times throughout the journey, you know, but that's how you become great. That's how you become great. That's life is about surviving the different struggles that come along the way. And, you know, even running the business now that we do so, it's figuring out how people are shifting and what do people need most? What do I have the capacity to give as a founder with a small team? And even coming out of the pandemic, it was Socanomics just their pandemic support. Now that everyone's back to their life and back in the IRL, and I remember Socanomics. I used to take Socanomics classes when I was during the pandemic, and it's like, oh wow, the business still functions and still runs, but is it a thing you did during the pandemic? And that is what led to us like, okay, I see the shift. I'm seeing it. We have to do events in person. We have to be in New York. We have to be in Atlanta. We have to be in Miami, LA. Oh, people want to travel. The wellness industry is growing massively into wellness tourism, but it doesn't look like us. And there's no representation for what I know wellness tourism is and what it means to go to an island and not just be at the resort taking from the culture, but the cultural immersion is there.
Yep.
We started doing retreats. And the islands that we visit aren't typical, you know. We're going to Tobago, we're going to Nevis, we're going to Dominica, we're going to Antigua. And when the resorts receive us, they're like, this is a breath of fresh air because we don't get to serve y'all. We're happy to serve y'all right now because where y'all came from. Where y'all came from. Tell us everything. And then we stay connected on Instagram. When you're coming back, when you like literally staying connected, building family all over the globe. It's like, this is what it's been about.
Yeah, and it's always been about that. You were meant to be global. That's wow.
Thanks, Sam.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And this is why we've shifted gears for the Gifted and Guided podcast to have conversations like these, because everyone has a story and we don't get to hear their story often. Because it's usually I'm catching up with a friend who may know your story, but may not know about the professional side. Then when you're connected with someone on the professional level, they know about what you've done, but not what it took for you to get there. It's nice to hear that, especially as someone who participated during the pandemic when you were alive. And I went to that event that you had in Los Angeles when I was out there. I'm like, oh, okay, she's out there. Let me go try it. And it was so much fun because it's so hard to find Soca-based events in Los Angeles, but also attached to building community that also loves Soca out there, because it's now becoming quote unquote popular on the airways like radio, but at the time Afrobeats is like the main thing, and I love Afrobeats, don't get me wrong, but again, Soca is we're
Soca people through and through.
Exactly. Exactly. So I appreciate you for creating Socanomics and for trusting in the vision to give all of us Soca lovers and Soca curious people the opportunity to tap in and to express ourselves, but just trusting in the process and showing up to create spaces for other people to heal and allow them to move forward in whatever else they're doing. I mean, you're a vessel in many ways, and I just hope that you understand that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I receive that. And as are you, because the work that you're doing with this podcast is necessary, especially in a world where we're just seeing the glamorization of what it looks like to get to the other side and how easy it should be. Oh, you should get to 7 figures of wealth in this amount of time. Look how easy I did it. And it's like, no, that's not what life is about. It's about getting the education, spending the time, doing the thing, talking about the struggles, experiencing the struggles, and doing it anyway. That's what life is about.
And doing it anyway. Yes. So with that being said, as we close out, we're going to give our audience something to reflect on. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And it's a what if question based on the story that you've shared in your journey, so that they can utilize that and position themselves in a mindset of, well, what if I had to do X, Y, and Z? So what would that question be? What do you want to give us today?
So I wrote it down because I really had to dive deeply into what has this all meant for me. And the question is, what if staying on the new path when everyone else is going back to their normal is the real leap of faith?
Is the real leap of faith? Yeah, it's a good one.
And
it doesn't have to connect to the pandemic, because some people might look at it like, oh, well, what did that look like for me during the pandemic? It could be anything. It could be people saying, oh, I'm going to follow this track for this career, or entrepreneurship looks like this, and that's what I'm going to do. And I guess it comes down to, how can I bet on myself during a time where there's uncertainty and everyone else is doing the same thing, but I feel like I shouldn't be, right? So yeah, that's a good one. That could apply to so many things. Yeah. Wow, Selena, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'm so excited to see where you take things. I will be on, I know you have a retreat coming up. I'm not going to be at that one, but I will be at one of your retreats, because I just know that based on what you've shared within your journey, beyond the dancing and soca, there's definitely a spiritual reset that you create.
Right.
And I would love to experience that. So how can people connect with you and learn more about what you offer?
Yes. So we're definitely going to get you to come to a retreat. And everyone listening or watching, find Socanomics on Socanomics.com. We have an online community, on-demand programs, 30-day, 28-day, 21-day programs of dance, of strength, of yoga, people just like you who are just finding ways to keep fitness and wellness in their life on the go. When you're not at home at a hotel, you can still tap in, and when you're home. That's our Socanomics community. Join us on our retreats twice a year. We're going to, I won't announce it just yet, but in January, MLK weekend is our next retreat after Negril. And that'll be our 7th retreat. Noted. January.
Okay.
And that'll be our 7th retreat. But if you want to stay tapped in, head to my Instagram at Selena Watkins. And in my bio, I have a free guide called Glow Up Daily. And it is literally a reset guide. All of my practices that keep me confident, grounded, and connected to experience abundance. Like it's everything that I practice regularly, the things that I tap into when I need to remember how to like step into a room with confidence. All of those tools are in this book. So it's called Glow Up Daily. It's a free guide, and I have it on my Instagram in my bio.
Awesome. Wow. I'll be checking those out. And I am adding a retreat onto my calendar for MLK weekend 2026. I cannot wait. And when are you going to announce the location?
Probably depending on when we release this podcast. We do January and June every year, and I'd give about 5 to 6 months lead up to let people know.
Okay. Got you. All right. Well, by the time this is out, everyone can book. So make sure to book. And again, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your truth. We really appreciate you.
I cannot thank you enough. You spit some gems to me today that was like, oh shoot. Oh no, really, like off the books. Thank you. Thank you, because sometimes you see yourself from a not a scripted point of view, but from a accolade point of view, where you're just like, who am I? And you're like, you break rules, and I think you've always been doing that. And think of that from an affirmative, positive place. Like you're not confined to this system, and continue to move with that knowing. Like that's what I'm taking away from what you said to me today. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yay.
Thanks,
that
bro.
makes me so happy. That's it for today's episode of Gifted and Guided. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe, share with a friend, and drop a comment, because I love hearing how you're figuring it out too. Until next time, remember, you are gifted, you are guided, and you're not doing this alone. All right. Talk to you soon.